Recording in progress.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay, sir. All right, so before we begin, I would like one or three people to help us with feedback from the last class. Take home from the last class. Can anyone just step up and let everyone know what he or she learned from the last section? Before we begin.
They were talking to them now. The first, that one, the one I saw was something.
You know, saying there's a link for big training today.
And the same link.
Okay, so can everyone, if they know they are not going to say anything regarding the class, so that others that are meant to say something can say it.
Hello,
Please take home from the last class. Anyway.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
I'm Perez.
Okay,
Perez,
Mr.
Perez from Yanagora. I quickly want to talk about take home I had from the last lectures.
Yes, sir.
And that has to do with assets and inventory. Assets and inventory. That's in a bid of trying to create an asset register. The facility manager should be able to differentiate between inventories and assets. An example of inventory, as was taught last class, has to do with items that are consumables. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir,
Hello?
Mr. Perez. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
That's, inventory has to do with items that are consumables that have very short lifespan. For instance, you talk about staplers, you talk about stapling pins, and papers that are used in the office. So these things should be separated and should not be part of our asset register. I think that's one of the take home I had from the last lectures.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. That's a good one. Any other person? Any other person? Take home, take home. All right, let's go, Mr. Innocent. You can go ahead. Mr. Innocent, I think your mic is turned off.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. We can hear you clearly now.
My take home for the last class was properties of assets. We have to do with the ownership, economic value, and resources. Secondly,
can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, now it's audible.
I think my take home was on properties of assets, where we had to look at ownership, economic value and the resource of those assets, and equally the asset classification. I think that's my take home for the last class.
Okay, all right. I will need two more before we commence with the class for today. Two more. If you'd like to say something, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, you can go on, Mr. Daniel. Good evening, sir. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Okay, good evening. I believe you can hear me.
Sir?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, one of the things that I had a better understanding compared to initial was when it talks of asset. I was only thinking that the physical asset is the only active asset we have. I didn't have the knowledge that machines as also an asset, and we can also have one built-in asset. That is one of the things that I take home. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All right, one more person so that we can commence with the class for today. Any other person? Your take home from the last class. Anyone would like to say something about their take home from the last class? You can go ahead now. Okay. All right, Mr. Rilwan, you can go ahead. Okay.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Everyone. Yeah. One of the key take homes from the last session, I would say, is being when I learned about how to be strategic as an FM, not just being reactive or just being there, wait for problem to come up before you run to fix them, or you need to preempt and look beyond the normal operations, the normal running. Having a facility running smoothly doesn't mean okay everything is fine, because it can always go wrong. So I think that's one of my key take home from the session. And also another major yeah, for me was when formulating your FM strategy, it's important to align it with the broad organizational objective of the organization. So those are my key takeaways from the last session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, I think this is time for us to commence with the class for today. My name is Justice, and I'm happy to be here with you all. So we'll call on Mr. Engineer Emmanuel to commence the class. All right, thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. So we discussed at length on asset management, and I'm so glad people actually really take one or two things on that day. And having a quality facility condition assessment helps you in a broader way to develop your asset register. And that's why facility condition assessment is very, very key in facility management.
Excuse me,
Even
sir.
when you are taking over another facility to be maintained, the first set of thing you need to do, please, let's
Sorry,
have every speaker muted.
sorry, I
You
wanted to
unmute
say
your
something,
speaker.
sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, I would like you to turn on your camera so that they can see you while it is.
I may not be able to do that because where I
Okay.
am is not that good like that. So
All right, it's fine. Thank you.
sorry, for some privacy, please.
Okay, sir. Okay, all right. Go ahead. Continue.
So, like I said, that for you to have a good asset register, a quality facility condition assessment is very, very key. Mr. Edidion, please, let's have your speaker muted, please. You can actually use your condition assessment to set up your asset register. And as well, if you are actually taking over a new facility to be maintained on behalf of the property owner, the very first thing you need to conduct is what we refer to your facility condition assessment, because that saves you from taking a lot of liability. And more so, your asset facility condition assessment is also very, very key in the sense that it helps you to generate what we refer to as condition index. It tells you what is the current condition of that asset. And with that, you are able to just suppose if you are to retain that asset, or if that asset is worth putting money into, or that asset is worth upgrading, or you need to do an outright replacement of that asset. That's why we need to pay very close attention to this module today. So we're actually going to discuss, we have already discussed about this yesterday. It is actually expected that at the end of the class, every student should be able to understand what is actually meant by facility condition assessment and the purpose behind the conduction of facility condition assessment, the scope that condition assessment has to take, processes that's involved when conducting facility assessment, and the level. We have level 1, we have level 2, level 3 assessment. So facility performance evaluation, there is condition assessment, there is performance evaluation. And the two of them has a difference. When you're talking about condition assessment, it is more or less something that you do at the commencement of your operation in any facility. It's just exactly like you needed to rent an apartment and you went ahead to take a physical assessment of that apartment. That is nothing but facility condition assessment. When you assess, what are you actually trying to, you need to know what is the current condition of that facility in terms of occupancy, conveniency, in terms of security, in terms of transportation and every other thing. So it's a kind of a one-off thing. And there are some scenario that might warrant you to do condition assessment as well. Then, but your performance evaluation are something that I can say you do concurrently. It could be on a monthly basis, it could be on a quarterly basis, it could be on a biannual basis, and it can as well be on an annual basis. So your condition performance evaluation is just like you are trying to review all the processes that you put in play as a facility manager, all the policies, if they are actually yielding the positive results which is tied to your overall goal. And you want to measure how you are actually performing in terms of your deliverables to the end user of that facility. So you do performance evaluation. So performance evaluation is a concurrent exercise in facility management. Why condition assessment is something that you do once, or let's just say once in maybe like 5 years time, once in 2 years time. It's not something that you do concurrently. One event will actually lead to you to need to conduct assessment. So then we're actually going to discuss how can you design your condition assessment and what are the necessary tools you will need as a facility manager to conduct facility condition assessment. So we're having like 9 course outline to deal with, which is going to be introduction to assessment, purpose of assessment, scope, process, facility condition assessment, documentation and review, the meaning of performance evaluation, how you can conduct a successful facility performance evaluation. Then, what benefits does performance evaluation stand, and the challenges that you stand to face when you are implementing performance evaluation. What is condition assessment? The process of inspecting each system of a building to understand its condition. What do we mean by system of a building? When you take a complete building and you're talking about the system, you're talking about the foundation system, you're talking about the roofing system, you're talking about transportation system, and with your transportation system, we're talking about the pathways, your walkways, your steps, your conveyors, and your lift. These are all your transportation system in a building. You talk about your communication system, you talk about safety system, and then you talk about your HVAC. These are all systems that are attached to a building. And when you conduct assessment, what exactly are you really looking for? And you want to check what are the deficiencies, what are those things that you observe physically that are not in support of the building. Possibly you notice that there's a leakage somewhere, you see mold growing up, you see algae growing up on the wall, you see the door is giving way. So you are actually itemizing our deficiency. Then with your assessment, you're able to deduce if you're able to deduce what is actually going to be the remaining useful life of that particular asset. Then condition index, you can easily with your condition assessment, you are able to formulate and bring up what is exactly your condition index. And condition assessment is not a unilateral assessment. It's not something that Mr. Thaddeus alone or Mr. Edidiong alone can actually carry it out, or Mr. Pere alone can actually carry it out. It is a multidisciplinary review of the various systems of a building. Why do we say it's a multidisciplinary review? Because when you're conducting the assessment of a building, this might require you to have an M&E, a mechanical and electrical professional. It may require you to have a plumber. It may require you to have an HVAC expert. It may require you to have a pool expert. It may require you to have a security expert, building expert. You need people who are into conduction of building structural integrity. So that is why they say it is a multidisciplinary review of various systems of a building, because as a facility manager, you are not an expert in roof. Fine, you are the custodian and you are in charge to ensure that the roofing system of your facility are in top notch and in good quality conditions. So to provide, then when you conduct this assessment, the report that you gather, what you gain, what do you stand to use with the report? It helps you to provide recommendation regarding the root cause of deterioration of failure. Any failure you observe, any deficiency you are outlining, any deficiency you notice during your assessment, then it is now easier for you to provide recommendation against each of those deficiencies. Oh, there is a water leakage here. What do we need to do? You make your recommendation. There is an earthing leakage when the electrical earthing integrity was conducted. There is load imbalance when energy audit was conducted. There is power wastage when you did power audits. Then you provide each recommendation then to provide remedial action plan. Area where you know that you need to carry out some repair, that you need to carry out an upgrading, that you need to do a natural renewal. These are decisions you make out of your comprehensive assessment of your facility. Then also to produce capital replacement plan. For instance, there was a particular period in my former organization that we are having all our illumination in all our locations fluorescent tubes. I'm so sure we're all familiar with fluorescent tubes. And we decided in order to have what we call energy savings, we decided to change all the fluorescent tubes to LEDs. And as at that time, we are having almost about 42 locations. And if we are to carry out this project at once, we will be spending millions of naira, then we will definitely be eating deep into our budget to the extent that we won't be able to do any other required maintenance activities. So part of the plan I made during that period in time is that, okay, we suggested that we do it in a phase-wise manner. We take a location, we change the entire illumination in that location to LEDs. Then any fluorescent fitting or tubes that we could retrieve from that location that are still good, instead of buying fluorescent from the market again, we'll be using those called good ones to replace any fused one in other locations. So we are carrying this out on a monthly basis, on a 2-month basis, and in a span of a year and 6 months, we're able to get this done without it having a much negative impact on our budget. So you could use this kind of a system where you have conducted your assessment, you discover that within the facility, the air conditions are the old air conditions that either consume current and vibrate and all those one, but you don't have the financial capacity because of the capitally intensive nature of that project. You don't have that financial backup. So you might decide that, okay, what I do is that on a quarterly basis, I will be changing each of the block of flat air condition from the old air condition to a new one. Or you can say invariably that, okay, anyone that has an issue that is faulty currently, instead of you buying compressor to repair them, you pull them out and do a natural replacement. These are all capital replacement plan you can have in place. Then the other one is that in support of operation and maintenance planning, after you have conducted your assessment, you saw that, okay, there are some of your part pavement that they're already eroding. And in order for you to determine operation and maintenance plan for them, you can say, okay, I'm not going to, because there is no any tenant, there's no any user occupying that area now. In terms of my operation and maintenance plan, I can defer this repair work since there's no any occupant or any end user having access to that area, and I can condone that area off. I can do with those areas where people are actually needed to occupy, or where end user needed to use. So I can say, let me just quickly fix the walkways of those areas while I put those other one on hold. Or a facility where you have people that are already planning to move into that place, they've already paid. You can fix all maybe possibly the swimming pool, and those areas where you don't have any occupants, you can condone them and leave them until when you have people. These are part of operation and maintenance plan you could deduce. You can now code out of your comprehensive condition assessment. And these have already mentioned that what is a building system? Building system can be defined as assembly of interrelated or interdependent parts forming a more complex and unified whole and serving a common purpose. So we have building structure. In structural terms, you have the foundation, the structural system. And when you're talking about the structural system, you talk about the floor system, you talk about the roofing system, the wall column system, and in the non-structural, you talk about the HVAC, electrical system, transportation system, mechanical safety and security, and communication system. So what is the benefit of evaluating building system? The major benefit is that when you conduct your condition assessment, part of what you stand to achieve is that you are able to develop a short-term financial need. You have completed the assessment. You know which one is going to be capitally intensive, which one you have to defer. Then what are those short repair or replacement that you can quickly carry out that at least can make people comfortable in using of that facility, that can still support the day-to-day activity of that facility. This could be something that you can easily do with small cash flow and every other thing. Then the competitive need. After you have conducted your assessment, let's not forget we discussed something about vision, we said something about mission, we said something about strategic planning. Your facility has a vision to be the number one facility management service provider in Nigeria. And you have to take up a facility around the Kate area. Then after you conducted your assessment, you discover that for you to take over that facility, and in order for you to maintain that your vision as the number one in the country, that means you need to upgrade that facility to meet your standard. And in doing that, you are already making the facility to be competitive, because what other facility management can take or can still overlook, because you are the number one, according to your vision, you said that cannot be. It has to be a top notch. Maybe possibly some other facility are operating without automation. And because you want to be the top notch, and you told the facility owner that for us to take over this facility, after we have done our assessment, we need to automate the entire facility. That is our standard. So in doing this, you are making that facility competitive. Or possibly, another angle is that after you have conducted your assessment, you discover that there is inflow of tenants into estate A than the estate you are managing. Then you try to know what exactly has brought that inflow, why people prefer to rent accommodation in that estate compared to your estate. And you discover that there are a lot of amenities being put in place in that place. It could be as a result of security. It could be as a result of assessment to major roads. It could be as a result of availability of power. Then you want to compete with that facility. Then you need to upgrade your facility to the level or even above what that auxiliary facility is actually doing. Then long-term mandate, you're trying to achieve what we refer to as sustainability. You want to make your facility to be available as at all the time. You're trying to achieve sustainability. These are long-term mandates. Then building stewardship. You want your building to be delivered in terms of deliverable to the end user. Then strategic alignment. Evaluation, just like what I may mention about you trying to automate a whole complete estate. This is strategic alignment because you are trying to align this building, the facility, to be in tune with your company overall strategic goal. These are what you gain, and these are decisions that you've gone out of the comprehensive condition assessment. So what is role of assessment in acquisition? You are planning, or your company is planning to acquire a new estate. Possibly you are into real estate buying and selling. Your company is into signing off a new deal of acquiring an estate. You need to do what we call an assessment before you acquire that facility. You don't just acquire a facility without conducting a thorough condition assessment to know what is the current condition of every single asset within that facility. Your condition assessment assists you to uncover all potential issues associated with all assets in the facility, like structural damage, defective HVAC, So when you conduct your assessment, it will unfold, it will show you a lot of issues within that facility. Then with this, you are able to determine, does it worth it for me to put my money into this facility? Does it worth it for me to take over this kind of facility? You come to realize how deteriorated that facility is. Then too, your condition assessment assists potential buyer to know necessary financial risk involved in acquiring a property and how to properly negotiate a fair price based on current condition. Let me just use the scenario of what we are mostly familiar with. It's just like you want to buy a Nigerian used car and you want to buy a Tokumbo car and you are buying a brand new car. When you are buying a brand new car, which is actually directly from the factory, you have, let me say, your risk is completely minimal, but the cost is on the high side. You have minimal risk, but the cost is on the high side. Now, when you buy a Tokumbo car, the cost is more or less at the medium range. Why the risk is more or less like it's at a medium range, why the cost is also like at a medium range, because it's a win-win deal. There is possibility that you buy the car after a span of 2 years, you have to change the engine. It's possible. But with a brand new car, you have a guarantee. Now, with a Nigerian used car, the risk is high, but the cost is lower. So now, when you want to procure a Nigerian used car, the first thing you do is that you do what is called assessment. And the assessment could be going there alongside with your auto mechanic who has an understanding of that particular brand of car that you want to procure. What do you need your mechanic to do for you? You need your mechanic to do an assessment. And that's the reason why we said assessment, condition assessment is not a unilateral assessment. It's not something that you can do alone. Because you don't want to take over liability. That's why you have to include your mechanic to go alongside with you, because he is an expert in in automobile. So your mechanic stand the chance to guide you against necessary financial risk that might involve in buying that car. That is one. Then two, he will also be able to tell you, sorry, the amount they are actually placing on that car is too much. This should be the fair deal. This should be the fair amount you want to pay. You should pay. So that's why your condition assessment assists you as a buyer to know the necessary financial risk you are going to be acquiring when you acquire a property and how you can properly negotiate it for that property. Then your FCA help you to unfold all maintenance need, all maintenance that you are going to do. So buyer can plan necessary upgrading action based on priority. So you know that this area, you cannot even maintain them anymore. The best is for you to do outright replacement. Oh, this you can upgrade. Oh, you can do painting here. No, this part, you have to like break the structure down and reconstruct it again. Then with thorough conducted FCA, buyer can evaluate the potential return on investment and decide if the property worth the investment. So with your assessment, you are able to determine if you should put your money in buying that property or you shouldn't. Then you also consider the fact that when you procure this property, how long will it take you for you to start getting what we call return on investment? Because you have placed your money down. The reason why you place your money down is because you want what? You want profit. When will this building, when will this facility become profitable? These are all what you stand to gain under your condition assessment. With your condition assessment, it is easier to draw up necessary estimated costs. What are the costs that is going to be required in bringing the property or the facility to your desired standard or to your operational standard as a facility management company or as a property management company or as a real estate company? How can you bring that property? How can you bring that estate to your standard, to your standard of operation? Allowing buyer to budget for renovation and future other necessary feature maintenance. These are what you stand to gain with your assessment. What are the other benefits? It helps you to draw up or develop or upgrade your asset register, to prepare engineering description. So because when you are doing your assessment, you want to say, oh, there are each of the living room are 10 square by 10 meter by 10 meter. Each of the bedrooms are 6 meter by 6 meter. The terrace is 4 by 2. The terrace has a stainless steel. These are all engineering description that you put in place when you conduct your assessment. Then it also helps you to identify and record the existing condition of the component, to determine the remaining useful life of every component within that facility, to prepare cost estimates related to maintenance, repair, rehabilitation, renewal of the system, and also to prioritize the components for maintenance, repair, and renewal. When you conduct your assessment, you list your deficiency in hierarchy or priority. What can you attend to immediately? What can you attend to in a month's time? And what can you attend to in a year's time? You prioritize them. Then you know what to attend to immediately and what you can leave for a while. To compare the cost of the system and component remediation versus the cost of facility replacement. So when you do your cost analysis and you come up with the fact that the cost analysis you have done for maintenance is almost equivalent to the cost of replacement. So it is of economic advantage for you to go for an outright replacement. So, but you cannot make that decision until when you conduct a condition assessment. And after you conduct condition assessment, you put cost against each of those deficiencies that you've already marked. All those deficiencies that you've already itemized, you put cost against each of them. How much will it cost you to do this? How much will it cost you to get the other one done? After assigning cost to them, then you now compare the cost to an outright replacement of that particular deficiency. If the cost was it, or the cost is almost equivalent to the cost of replacement, then the best economic advantage decision you can make is for you to go for an outright replacement. Then, what is the financial and strategic benefit of facility condition assessment? Financially, when we conduct condition assessment, how does condition assessment assist us? One, it improves facility data because the data you are actually having at hand are defensible data. These are data that you accumulated from a physical inspection, something that you see with your eye. You have a right measurement, you have the right decisions. Then the second thing is that it helps you to define every problem associated with that facility. Then you can now formulate a strategic plan on how to mitigate against those problems. Then it helps you to gather defensible data for justified capital expenditure. So when you put your cost to the management that this is the amount that I want to spend in order to make that facility to be at our operational standard, to be at our standard of operating. And your several numbers of questions are coming in. Why do you have to spend this money? Why can't you spend this? You have a defendable data. This is the current condition with pictorial view. Then it also streamlines facility management and improve facility condition. With this, you know where to disseminate your manpower. You know where to disseminate your resources. You know where to focus on. You can prioritize how to do things. Then it allows facility personnel to better plan, manage, and direct their work, just like what I mentioned earlier on. Then prioritize the short-time planning issue. What are those short repair that you can quickly carry it out to make the facility accommodating while you are planning on how to focus on the major repair work? When do you need to conduct condition assessment? Let's not forget I said earlier on that your condition assessment is one often kind of a thing, but performance evaluation is a concurrent. This is something that you do concurrently to measure your performance, to measure how you are how you are exactly performing in terms of your deliverable to end users. Now, when do you need to assess a facility? The best and quality time to assess a property for condition assessment are: one, before taking over the facility for third-party maintenance or before a major acquisition. You are a facility management company and a real estate company approach you that they have an estate in Abuja, that they want you to start maintaining that facility on their behalf. The first thing you need to do is that you need to conduct what we refer to as condition assessment to know the kind of challenges you'll be coming across in the nearest future. Then two, before a comprehensive or minor renovation is carried out, you need to upgrade an entire estate, or possibly the entire estate. You want to disconnect the entire estate from the grid. You want to solarize the complete estate. What do you need to do? You need to conduct a condition assessment in terms of power audit. That gives you the cost you are going to spend in getting that done. And that helps you to do what we call a long-term planning on how to get that done. Then three, before a capital turnaround renovation or upgrading is to be initiated. Let's say, for instance, I happen to be a facility manager in 1004 estate, and I need to do a complete painting of the entire facility within that estate. This is a capital intensive project. So I need to conduct what we call condition assessment to know what is the condition of the building walls. This will help me to know area where I have argil. This will help me to know area where I have build-ups. This will help me to know area where I need to do screeding. This will help me to know the area where I need to apply chemical before I can start doing my painting. It will also help me to determine the kind of paint that I want to use. Do you have to use satin? Do you have to use test coat? Do you have to use an emotion base? Do you have to use oil paint? So these are the decisions I make from my assessment. Then number four, before a comprehensive or a minor renovation is carried out. Then five, after a significant major incident like fire, flood, riot that led to major property damage or storm occurred. I could remember during the last EndSARS program, there are a lot of more that were being vandalized by the rioters during that period. So after the whole event has calmed down and you need to return back to the facility, before you allow end user to move into the facility, the first thing you do is you carry out your condition assessment to check what are the extent of damage that was carried out. And the reason why you might need to do this, maybe possibly you want to file for insurance claim. How is the security of the entire facility impacted? What are the extent of property damage? What are the extent of building damage? What sort of fleet damage did you suffer? How do you file insurance? How do you recoup some money back? What amount of money do you need to pull out from your purse? There was a time there was a fire incident. If you are familiar with Toyota bus stop, if you are going to my two from Oshodi, there was a trailer that got burnt under that bridge. And I remember that Lagos State shut that bridge down for a desirable length of time for them to carry out an assessment. After they have done the structural assessment, they know that as a result of the fire, the structural integrity of that bridge has been impacted. So they have to shut down that bridge for a length, an appreciable number of days in order for them to carry out a major repair. Then six, disaster preparedness. With condition assessment, the associated cost of hindering the facility against any impending disaster can be determined. For instance, from your security tips, you heard that there is going to be a riot around Lekki Ajah axis. property fortified so that you don't suffer what you call property damage. This could be, it might require you to go and approach the Nigerian police force to help you. And this might require you to pay some money because people have to be on ground. Paying the money in terms of what are the costs of accommodation for the security team? What are the costs of feeding for the security teams and all the stuff? What cost does it entail? Or in case you don't want to approach the Nigerian police, you might approach a security company to provide a security coverage during the riot period so that your mall is not being vandalized. These are what we call disaster preparedness. And these are something that can warrant facility condition assessment. So what is the purpose of facility condition assessment? It helps you to establish what is the current repair cost. How much do you need to spend currently to get that facility in order? Why you defer some other expenses. Evaluating the cost of the deficiency, establishing the current repair cost of correcting the deficiency, creating a prioritized list of the repair, then establishing a budget that will be successful in controlling costs while the most critical deficiency are being resolved. So the other thing is that after you have sum up your costs, you know the numbers of you know the millions of naira you are going to be incurring, then you can be attending to some smaller ones pending the time you have the financial capacity to do the bigger jumps. Then you use your facility condition assessment to calculate what we refer to as facility condition index. Facility condition index is a kind of mathematical expression of how your facility is in terms of structural integrity and in terms of deliverables as well. For instance, a physical asset has a total repair after you have calculated the amount of money you are going to spend in all repair activity within the entire facility and the maintenance cost. You have to the tune of 10 million naira. 10 million naira, please. When you have the slide, change this to 10, not 1 million naira, it's 10 million naira. And the current replacement cost of that particular asset is just 3 million naira. So what is your condition index? Your condition index is the total repair or maintenance cost over the current replacement cost multiplied by 100. So you have 3 million divided by 10 million, that gives you 0.3. Multiply by 100, 0.03. Multiply by 100, that gives you what? 3%. So when you do your calculation, how do you come about this 10 million naira? Let's take a 2-bedroom flat for an instance to do our assessment. After you have done our assessment, we discovered that one of the air condition in the living room has 2 air condition, and one of the air condition is completely bad. And the other one, we only need to top up the gas. When your AC man brought his quotation, he gave you the quotation for the repair of the one that has bad compressor and the cost for the one that has that require gas top up. Then we discovered that one of the sliding window is bad. You call those guys that are doing that, they give you their cost. The WC, two need some toilet seat covers. You need to change some the tank cover. They will have cost for that one. Then some ties in the living room need to be changed. You have the cost for that one. After you have collated all these small costs and every other thing, and you sum up the cost, you now discover that the cost is almost equivalent to the cost of replacing that particular asset. Then the best you can do is for you to get that asset replaced. When you are doing for a 2-bedroom flat, you discover that the roof has been impacted, the building wall has been impacted, the foundation has suffered what we call structural differential, and the old painting work has been gone. The facility has been abandoned for like maybe let's say 6, 7 years. When you bring experts into that place, they said the entire roof is gone. You have to change the entire roof to a new one. Don't forget, changing the roof means you have to remove the roof. You have to do another wooden framework. You have to put a fresh and new roof. Then the building has suffered what we call structural differential, and that which is as a result of foundational error. This is coming at a huge amount of money. Then by the time you do all this costing, and you discover that for you to do the structural to correct the structural defect of the foundation alone, you might be spending 2 to millions of naira. Then you by the time you sum up all this cost, you now discover that it is even of the good economic advantage for you to go for an outright demolition of that build structure and rebuild it up back again. So when you do your calculation and you have 0 to 5%, it tells you that that asset or that facility is in good condition. When you have 5 to 10, it is fair. When you have 10 to 30, it is poor. But when you have anything greater than 30%, that means that asset is in its critical state and there's no amount of maintenance, repair, renovation, renewal that can sustain that facility or that asset. So the best you can do is to go for an outright replacement. So your facility condition index can be helpful in several ways, which include it can help you to compare the condition of one facility to a group of facility. After you have like 20 block of flats, and when you do condition assessment on each of the flats, you discover that one out of those flats compared to other is having a condition index which is which is above 10. So you know that that particular flat is already giving way. It also helps you to track trend, the extent of improvement or deterioration over time. When you when you do your condition assessment and you are able to like bring up your condition index, you are able to track what is the trend. Oh, the last time we did this condition assessment, what we're having is 5. For the past 6 years or 10 years, we've been having 5, 5.5, 5.5, 5.6. Then along the line, you're having closer to 10. You know that something is going on. There is a major deterioration somewhere within that facility that require an immediate action. Then it also helps you to prioritize the capital improvement project. So you know if you are to spend money capital project within that facility in terms of getting the whole facility upgraded, or you have to do what we call an outright replacement, make a renovation versus replacement plan. So you decide when you have the two costs at your hand, you can decide either to replace or to upgrade that facility. Then it also helps you, your condition assessment help you to do what we call future forecast. So you can forecast what is actually going to come up in the next future, because when you do your condition assessment for a new facility, for a new estate, for a new asset, you expect your breakdown. You expect your breakdown to follow a downward trend. And at least you are expected not to even have any breakdown at all. And your maintenance cost to follow to be at the lowest rate. Your breakdown is coming down while your maintenance cost is at the lowest rate. Then along the line, when your facility is becoming obsolete, your maintenance cost will be on the higher side, while your breakdown will be on the higher side at the faster rate, and your maintenance cost will be on the higher side. So understand the future deficiency is just as important as calculating the building current condition. So when you see a building that has a structural defect from your analysis, from your assessment, you know definitely that that building cannot stand the test of time. You know that something needed to be done within a span of a year, because if you leave it to extend, to linger on more than a year, you might eventually lose the whole building may eventually collapse. So forecast cost by breaking down a building into its individual components. How do you do this? You have a complete building. You break the building into each of the components. You deal with roof alone. You deal with the building envelope alone. You deal with windows alone. You deal with the doors alone. Deal with the plumbing alone. Deal with electrical alone. Deal with the floor alone. And also the paint, the wall painting alone, wall murals alone. So that means you have break everything down into each component. Then each of these components, you assign cost to them. How much will it take you to get this thing done in the near future? Then it helps you to establish both short and long-term budgets by estimating the life of the building system, calculating the forecast cost based on the representative portion of the building total replacement value. It also, your condition assessment helps you to maintain building data, because the information you have at hand are first-class information. These are information that you could out of your physical assessment of the building. So you maintain a building data, you forecast current and historical data from previous assessment. This is if and only if the assessment has been done before you are taking over. But if the assessment has not been done before you take over, you might not have access to historical data. Include a current set of typical deficiency and the best correction for them. Use of cost model life cycle analysis to assign the life expectancy for all building systems. Then it also helps you in making informed decisions. The decision you are taking are decisions born out of valuable data that you have gathered so far during assessment. Then you know where to deploy your available resources. It could be manpower resources, it could be financial resources, and it could be the third-party resources from third-party support team. You know where to deploy your resources. Then it also helps you to determine estimate for the investment cost. Effective condition assessment lead for decision taking for facility capital investment and necessary loss. Because when you do your assessment, you are able to decide that if I repair this facility, will that facility actually yield the expected return? And if the answer is yes, for how long do I have to wait before I will start talking about profitability on this facility? It also helps you to determine appropriate costs associated with each recommended action, including material, labor, equipment, and additional expenses. So remember when we have already break down the entire building into components and we assign costs to them. So you are able to see what is the cost in terms of labor cost, in terms of material, in terms of equipment, and any other associated additional costs. And those additional costs could be the cost of maybe renting the scaffolding to get the painting. It could be a result of renting a crane. It could be as a result of renting an IAP. So these are other additional associated costs. Or it could be a cost that will involve bringing in an expert from outside the country. It could be bringing an expert from outside the state to come and work on that facility. These are costs. Compile the estimated cost into a budget plan with consideration of available financial resources, funding cycle, and urgency of addressing specific issue. So with your condition assessment, you know these are the list of the problem you have. So I can easily attend to this because I have the financial capacity to do that. This one, I don't have the financial capacity. I can defer them till maybe next year, or I can defer them maybe to next month, or I can defer them to next quarter or the last quarter of the year. So with your condition assessment, you are able to discover the current building deficiency. Document any deficiency, defect, safety hazard, or maintenance need discovered during the evaluation process. Benchmarking of the building current performance. Evaluate each system and component against established standard. You have, as a facility management company, you have your own standard, operating standard that you don't toy with. And you are taking up another facility. So you can easily benchmark. When you benchmark, you see, you weigh, does this current facility I'm taking over match my operational standard? If it doesn't match, then you write to the owner of that facility. Before we can take over, we need to upgrade this facility to our operating standard. Then if he agrees, then the property owner can say, okay, go ahead, get that done. Or he can say, okay, I am going to get that done with my own team of engineering. After I've done it, come and do another inspection. And from there, you can take over. Industrial best practice and regulatory requirement to determine its condition, functionality, and overall performance. So it's already 6 o'clock. Let's quickly observe a short time break. So we'll come back by 10 after 6 to continue from there, to continue from module 3, which is scope of facility condition assessment. So let's quickly observe a 10 minutes break. We'll come back by 6:10. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello? Hello?
Welcome, sir.
I want
Hello,
to hear
sir.
you.
Can you hear me?
Welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much. So, scope of facility condition assessment, what are the scope? Yeah, to observe the general site improvement and condition of all major building systems. And what exactly are you actually reviewing? Review of pertinent documents such as built drawing, building record, construction document, building codes and violation, then maintenance record. Then let me digress a bit to explain to us the difference between architectural drawing and as-built drawing. You get the architectural drawing before the commencement of the building, before you even put a peg on the floor, because the architectural drawing guides you on where each of the foundation should be and every other thing. But the as-built drawing is a kind of a drawing that you get at the end of the completion of the project, because it tells you where there are changes within the architectural drawing, because there could be a situation whereby you want a plumbing pipe to go on a horizontal lane, but because of obstruction, either because of beam or column, and you don't want to break that beam or column in order not to tamper with the building integrity, you have to allow that piping network to form an L shape. In the architectural drawing, it is on a straight line, but in the as-built drawing, it is forming an L shape. So the as-built drawing is very, very key for every facility. And that's the reason why you see in most facilities today, you have a leakage in the sitting room. You are breaking wall in the kitchen, because you don't have an as-built drawing that will guide you on how those plumbing layers were being done. You don't have an as-built drawing that will guide you on how the electrical wirings are being done. And that's why you do what we call try by error method in order to get those things fixed. There are a lot of facilities that are suffering that. So when you are conducting a new project, as a facility manager, you need to make sure you include it as part of your terms and conditions for the project, for the project construction company, that at the end of the project, when they're handing over the project back to you, they should hand over the project alongside with the as-built drawing. It is very, very key. So production of detail of remedial work. Most of the time in new projects, you call this one a snag list. When you do a new building, you yourself as a facility manager, the construction company and their team, and your own team as well, come to site to assess every part of the building. The assessment you are doing is to see if the contractor is to use a 1.2 mm breadth of door, and the guy eventually used 900. If the window frame supposed to be what was there is glass door. These are what you start itemizing, and you make a list of these and send to the contractor to execute before he can get his balance of the project cost. Remedial work production refer to processes undertaken to repair, restore, or improve a building system or facility that has suffered from defect, damage, deterioration over time. The lists are often generated during facility condition assessment or during project delivery, which is also known as snag list. Remedial work can arise from poor workmanship, natural wear and tear, environmental impact, or emergence of latent defects. For instance, you have a building beside the sea on the island. You could have a latent, you can have emergence of latent defect or environmental impact, because the breeze on the island is not a kind of a dry breeze, is a kind of air that has a mixture of a little amount of water content in it, and that water content contains what you call salt because of high electrical conductivity. And that's why you see building within that area, you see the painting get deteriorated over a short period of time compared to when you have such facility within the mainland area. Then at times, if you give your repair work or construction work to a contractor who is more or less like a layman, or if the contract was not well supervised, you could be having what we call a remedial work, a rework or remedial work. And these are what you need to look into as a facility manager, because it can be costing you another amount of money. Appliances for use in the office should be taken into account when setting out layout for these rooms as well. Do you have a space to hold? I think we need to review this slide. This is relating to communication, not facility condition assessment. Please ignore this part of this slide. This side, when you have that slide, it's not part of it. This is the only thing that is related to what we are discussing. So, production of detail of list of remedial work. How do you get this done? This is what you can get done when you do your assessment. So, seeing the big picture, some offices may need, or some facilities may need minimal construction to move into, as there are existing conditions in place to take advantage of. But this is not always the case. And what this is actually trying to tell you is you have this list, and for instance, you're taking up a new office environment, and after conducting your condition assessment, you discover that the tiling work not something that is good for an office environment. You could relate with the landlord in this aspect that, okay, this kind of tiles are not good for an office environment, because when the floor is wet, it is easier for anybody passing by to slip, trip, or fall. So you can make a recommendation, and the landlord could tell you that, okay, go ahead, get it done, and refer back to me, or I get this done, or I get my team of engineers to get it done, why I take that cost as part of your rental cost. So these are areas where your production remedial list also help you. Then production of detailed list of schedule of dilapidation. This, for instance, you want to rent a 3-bedroom apartment. The first thing you do is for you to go ahead and do what we call condition assessment. Having done the condition assessment, you make a list of what you think has to be done before you move into that facility, or before you even pay, most of the time. And that's why somebody was saying jokingly that the best time to rent an apartment in Lagos State is during the rainy season, so that you know the monster you're actually dealing with, which is nothing but the truth. What the person is actually saying is that you need to conduct what they call condition assessment. And for instance, you are into banking industry, and you need to take a property. And taking out that property means you have to like alter some structural part of that property to suit your banking construction. And part of the agreement, when the lease agreement is being signed, is to include a production detail list of schedule of dilapidation into that agreement. That the bank, after using that property for a lease period, for the agreed lease period, he has to return the property back to the way it was before they move in. And in some scenario, some banking industry will decide that, okay, instead of me reconstructing the building back to the way it was when I'm moving in, I can monetize it. So they can convert it to money and add that money to the lease cost. So they pay that lump sum to the owner of the property, so that when they want to move out, they don't need to change anything within that structure. They only take their property and move out. A schedule of dilapidation is a description of any defect present in the building. It lists the problem and the maintenance of the building. A schedule of dilapidation is prepared after the completion of a condition survey. So Then your condition surveys also help you to do what we call energy efficiency. Energy efficiency in the sense that, for instance, when you get to the facility and you discover that all the illumination you're having within the facility are the incandescent lights of those olden days that draw up huge amount of current, then from your energy opportunity that you can draw from the condition assessment, you can propose for LEDs, or possibly you have a warehouse facility that you assess. After assessing the facility, you discover that the roofing are the olden days iron roofing sheet that turned brown after a short period of time. You can recommend that they use a transparent roofing sheet. If they use a transparent one, that means the interior part of the entire warehouse will not require any single illumination. You are saving costs in terms of illumination. You are saving costs in terms of subsequent replacement of fused LED bulbs within that building. Then you can decide that, okay, if I'm going to change the roof, I can use solar panel for the entire roofing as the entire roof, so that I can use that solar panel to generate power. Or possibly you can say the entire building wall, I'm not going to paint it. I can put solar panel on the entire building wall and use the energy that I generated from the solar panel to power the whole entire building or common area. These are all decisions you make out of your comprehensive condition assessment. Evaluation of current condition of the asset. Your condition assessment tells you the effective age of the asset. You can determine, you can just suppose what is the remaining useful life of the asset, and you can also forecast the future life cycle renewal of the asset. Then also, you can also provide benchmark for current performance of the building. Then it also helps you to do developing cost for remedial work because of the comprehensive assessment you have done. You can earmark how much it will cost you to do some minor repair work and some major repair work. Then with this, by the time you sum up all these costs together and you're going for management approval, you have defensible data and defensible costs at your disposal to justify the reason why you actually want to spend the money. Then it also helps you to identify areas of improvement, identify any opportunity for adaptation and improvement to the facility. Is very, very key. Then what are the processes of condition assessment? An FCA is a comprehensive planning tool used to determine the physical condition and functional performance of a facility, and it is a multidisciplinary activity. This is what we actually said at the initial stage when we defined the condition assessment. Why do we say it is multidisciplinary? Is because it might require you to have an architect among the team, you need a QS, you need a structural engineer, you need an MEP, which we mostly refer to as MIE. You need safety team, and you need some experts and professional in some area. More or less like maybe people who are professional in assembling and disassembling of scaffolding, people who are professional in assembling and disassembling of crane. So these are areas where you may need your team. Then when you want to conduct condition assessment, what are the minor tools that you need? Measuring devices, which is like your tape. Your tape could be digital, manual, or infrared. Your data capturing devices, your data sheet, your camera, your safety PPEs, and other things that you need within that area. Then, if you are to invite experts to come and carry out that assessment for you, each of these experts that are involved, we need to come up with their own. They will need to come up with their own tools that they will use to carry out their assessment. Or possibly you need a structural integrity test to be carried out on that facility. Whoever is going to do this for you will only come with his own tool. Then, when you want to do condition assessment, the first thing you need to do is you need to design the assessment. It is not when you get to site, you start saying, oh, let's first of all check the electrical. No. You first of all make your plan, design your checklist. Are you going to take the building in system-wise manner, or you are going to take the building in component-wise manner? System-wise manner is that you just generalize it. Roof, you just generalize it. Communication, But when you are talking about component-wise, that means you pick every component within the building and assess them each at a time. You take the chair, what is the length of the chair, what is the breadth, what is the height, what is the condition of the chair. The chair, does it have all these casters? What are the condition of the casters? Out of the 4 casters, how many are good? How many are not good? So it's like you are looking at that each and every component within that facility holistically, not as a system-wise. Determine the assessment scope, select the team, mobilize the team, plan the inspection, and arrange the site. When you mobilize your team, then the other thing you need to consider is assessment. Access to the site, because there are some estates whereby you need to get a passcode before you get into that estate. Then how do you do that? Then you have to have the right timing for your assessment. You can't ask somebody to come and assess your roof in the peak of the afternoon when the sun is at the highest intensity. You know that's not done. The best time to do your roof assessment is possibly as early as possible between the hour of 6 a.m. in the morning and 10 a.m. in the morning. Then collect the data, prepare the inspection form, conduct inspection, gather the data and prepare the data, prepare your findings and conclusion report. So when you do the assessment checklist, you give it to the team. The team does that assessment and put all their findings in the assessment list. And now you take each of the assessment list and see which one do you need to get cost for and which one can you carry out without having cost. Those ones that require cost, you now start inviting your vendors. You send them to that place to go and do what's it called cost estimate. They do their costing, send you their quotation. Without their quotation, you assign cost to each of those things that need repair and those ones that need after replacement. After assigning the cost, you do the total sum of the cost. That tells you the amount you are going to use to get the facility back into operation. Then visual review of the representative sample. At times, it could require you to do a physical inspection that you need to be there. At times, you can do what we call survey, and you can do what we call interview. You can interview the end users of that facility. What are the challenges they are facing? What are the challenges? What are the issues they have? From their interview, you can sum up and you can come up with an idea of what they actually need. But the best among all of them is for you to do a physical inspection with your team. Evaluate the inspection, prepare your report, compile data, prepare quotation for the remedial work. Assign costs to each and every activity. After doing that, communicate your findings to the management. Then do your final report, design a presentation, and present it to the management. And as soon as management gives you approval, then you can go back to go and execute all what you have already itemized. But presenting how you present it with defensible data determines how fast you are going to get your approval so that you can commence work on it. So other processes of conducting FCI, your FCI can as well be conducted with digital software and devices such as you can use drone for high-rise area where assessment is very, very difficult. You can use your drone to do your assessment for you. Twin modeling. Twin modeling is like a digital method that you model your facility. Digital twin modeling is a virtual replica of a physical asset or system. This gives you opportunity of real-time monitoring of your asset function. Then, Internet of a Thing. Internet of a Thing sensor can continually monitor and detect data, collect data on differential parameter of facility like vibration, temperature, or humidity. If you automate your facility, when you are having much vibration, your condition maintenance, your predictive maintenance can tell you that some areas are having what we call vibration before it will actually lead to what we call structural defects. And if you have electrical issue anywhere within the facility, your predictive technology can as well tell you that there is load imbalance somewhere. There is effect of aching somewhere within the facility on your low voltage panel. Then you can quickly get this attended to. Then CMMS software. I told us what CMMS means yesterday. That is computerized maintenance management system. CMMS system software means seamlessly integrating the inspection data collected from drones, digital twin, or IO sensor into your maintenance management system. With your CMMS, you can easily draw up your maintenance plan. You can raise your work request, get that work request approved, and turn it to work order. You can make your plan. You can check what are the inventory or spare part that you have in your warehouse. These are all what you stand to gain with your CMMS as well. And you can be in Lagos while maintenance activity needed to be carried out. The CMMS automatically send signals to the actual person that is going to do that. So you know this particular equipment. When you log into your CMMS software, you can see which are the equipment that are due for maintenance and what type of maintenance activity needed to be carried out. And on a real-time scenario, you see if there is a vibration somewhere alongside with your equipment or any of the assets, and what can you do, or if there is going to be what we call a structural defect. So these are all what your Internet of a Thing and your CMMS does for you in facility management. Then what are the levels of condition assessment? I told us at the initial, I said we have three. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. The level 1 is what we call a drive-by assessment. We have drive-by, we have crawl through and walk through. So you have drive-by, walk through, and crawl through. The three of them are very, very good, but one is the best among all of them. Let me use a domestic example to explain so that we can get it very well. If I needed to buy a Toyota Camry, Nigerian used car, and on my way coming from office, I saw that car. I saw a car beside the road that they wanted to sell. And maybe possibly there is a traffic along the line. I pick up the phone number of the seller. I called. We negotiated and I paid. That is one. Then the second one is I actually went there physically. I went around the car and I asked for the asking price. They tell me the price and I paid. Then the third one is that I walk around the car, I open the doors, I check the interior, I open the bonnet, I check the engine, and I open the boot, I check for a tire, I take the key, and I started the engine. I drove the car at a distance of maybe 1 kilometer and come back, applying brake and everything. This is another format again. You agree with me that out of the 3 steps, the third one is more or less the best because I'll be able to determine what are the challenges with the car. And that's why the crawl through among all the 3 levels of condition assessment, the crawl through is the best among all of them. So the drive-by is a high-level review that focuses primarily on the system level, with less detail applied to condition of individual asset or component within that facility. It is a method of collecting data by approaching the entire facility at a system level, providing general or macro statement about the projected concern associated with each of the systems. Then the walk-through is a colloquial, like a mid-range level of assessment on the 3-level scale. And it includes the on-site visual assessment to collect data about the condition of the asset. But the crawl-through is the highest among all the 3-tier levels of assessment. It is a rigorous assessment of the asset that is carried out as a component level assessment. That means you take every component, every asset within that facility one at a time, and you assess them comprehensively, or what we refer to as bottom-up assessment in order to gather an empirical data. The assessment team spend more time on the field of observation. The only difference between them is that the crawl-through take more time compared to the other 2. And with crawl-through, you have detailed information and actionable data. But in terms of disadvantage, it is very, very expensive because at times it may require you to bring in a third party it is time consuming and may not most time require for some assets. May not most time require for some assets. Then facility performance evaluation, I just give us a brief of this at the initial stage that you do performance evaluation concurrently. And what performance evaluation does for you is it helps you to know how you are actually performing in terms of your deliverable to end user. And that's why we said it is what we do concurrently. And from the word performance, it is talking about your deliverable. An extension of what has been called post-occupancy evaluation. You do assessment before you move in. You do performance evaluation after you have moved in. And that's why you see if you are a facility manager operating in an estate, and that's why you see your tenant can walk up to you that the quality of water you are supplying them is not good. They have assessed your performance in terms of giving them a quality water, and they are giving you what percentage that you are earning. Or they can tell you that you're having a lot of stagnant water within the facility. Or possibly they can tell you that your power supply is erratic. They are actually measuring your performance in terms of providing constant electricity for them within that facility. So FPE is a continual process of systematic evaluating the performance or the effectiveness of one or more aspects of the building in relation to issues such as accessibility, aesthetic, cost effectiveness, functionality, productivity, safety, security, and sustainability. So you can assess yourself as a facility manager. You can get the end users to assess you at the same time. I think I may need to get back to the facility. Most of what I have here are not actually in relation to the performance evaluation. I'm going to close this slide. Let me bring up the other slide. There are a lot of things that are not part of this slide. Sorry about that, please. I'm beginning to see there is a mix-up in the other slide. Sorry about that. Okay, performance evaluation.
Yeah, with you, sir.
What do you say?
I said we are with you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So to better understand the impacts of early design delivery decision on long-term efficiency, effectiveness of the building, to better understand the impact of the building delivery, process, and decision. Customer response to both initial and over the life cycle of the equipment. It extends beyond physical assessment and includes consideration of obsolescence and other qualitative factors. So when you are doing your performance evaluation during the applying phase, I said you can do it, you can measure your performance yourself, and you can allow the occupant of that facility to do the assessment. But the best way to get it right is when you allow the occupant to assess you, because if you are going to assess yourself, you might be scoring yourself high. You prepare the document, then reporting the finding of the analysis, recommendation and action, monitoring and review the outcome of any source action undertaken. When you conduct the assessment, what are those things that you find? Where are those areas where you are underperforming that need improvement? What is the action you want to take? Mr. Innocent, you raise your hand. Please go ahead. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Innocent. Please, you might need to pen down your question till at the end of the class.
Okay.
Thank you. So write your question down. At the end of the class, I'll call on you, then you can ask your question.
Okay.
Thank you. So you prepare, then after you have itemized those areas where you are underperforming, you make recommendation of what you need to do to improve in those areas. And when you put those recommendations into action, then you do what we call a review. You monitor first to see how you are actually applying it. And when you see that this is already taking its effect, then you do what we call a consistent review of what you have already implemented, if they are actually working or not. Outcomes are important, which is more like what we refer to as feedback, because they may be used as a feedback to modify and or improve the next cycle of performance evaluation processes. So what is the benefit of your performance evaluation? Short term, related to immediate design, facility maintenance, and management issue. The long term, the medium term are something that you can do or put in place within a span of 3 to 5 years, while the long term are between to 10 to 25 years. It's like when you do your performance evaluation, like let's say in the month of July, all the occupants of your estate are asking for a new generator, and you know you don't have the financial capacity to do that now. This could fall under your medium terms Bennett plan, that okay, within a 2 to 3 years, what can we see, what can we do about getting a brand new generator for the estate? So in the interim, how can we repair this and make it to be useful for now? Then there are always difficult involved in establishing a clear link among users' assessments. You know, when you ask occupants to assess you as a facility manager, at times for you to link up their assessment with what is actually available for you as a facility manager might be very it might be very difficult at times, because occupants are asking you to do um, to get them a brand new generator within that facility, and now you don't have the financial capacity. Occupants are requiring you to paint the whole estate. You don't have the financial capacity. They are requesting that okay, you need to change the entire water treatment plant, which the financial availability is not that available. So there is always a conflict between what occupants actually really want and what is actually available. But as a facility manager, this is an area where maintaining a good relationship with the occupant or with the end users of your facility comes into place, because there is a way you can, as a leader, manage this, like communicating with them that we're actually working on this. This is actually forming part of our budget for the next calendar year. We're actually going. So this is where relationship comes into place. Positive outcome and physical environment. The relationship between facility design and performance evaluation is always complex and fuzzy. Yes, because what end users are actually want is not what you can actually give in at that period in time. And how do you conduct a successful performance evaluation? Develop a clear statement about what the organization wants. I try to advise facility manager professional in this area that when you want to conduct your evaluation, if after the occupants has taken their time to fill out your survey or to respond to your mail, and at the end of the day, they discover that you didn't do anything about this, subsequently, when you ask them to fill up another survey, they won't respond. And once you send out an assessment and the assessment is being provided by the end users, you need to keep them abreast of how you are using the assessment and what you are getting, the results you are getting from the assessment. For instance, you send a survey to all the occupants of your estate. You need them to review your security performance for you. And after you have summarized your survey, you come across that within within the first quarter of 2025, the security challenges, maybe stealing, stealing, property missing, and some other thing is at 60%. And after that, you put some measures in place. Possibly you install some IP cameras in some strategic point, you increase your security personnel, you increase your security manpower. And when you did the next quarter, the second quarter of 2025, you oh, somebody said the slide is not changing. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. What about now? Please, can we confirm if my slide is changing?
It's changing.
Okay, thank you. So, when you do your quarter two, you discover that your security threats or challenges or security reports reduced from 60% to 20%. You still need to carry out the end users along. The last survey we did in the first quarter, this is the number of security challenges we have, this is the percentage, this is what we put in place, and this is the result. Then this is what we are putting in place to make sure that we generate zero security report of threat. This is what your performance evaluation can get you to achieve in facility management. Develop a clear statement about what you want to achieve with the what evaluation. Link the link between evaluation and stated requirements have to be explicit and easy to trace. So what you say you want to trace and the survey you are carrying out must be explanatory. Identify resources available to carry out the FPE. Much data collection analysis to the available time and budget. Then determine appropriate methodology. Appropriate methodology means, are you sending mail? Are you printing out the survey, attach it to a mail and send to the occupant, or are you printing it out and handing it to them physically while they attend to survey and give it back to you? What methodology you want to use, which method? Or you open a link, you send them a link in which they open that link, they can fill all the forms and put their complaints there. These are all part of method you can use to do your performance evaluation. Informed responder or occupant, what is the purpose of that survey you are carrying out? What do you want to achieve with that evaluation you are doing? How is it going to impact them? How is it going to make life more convenient for them staying in that facility? Every occupant wants to know this and they want to learn this. So establish performance goal. What is the goal of that performance that you are carrying out? Interpret and synthesize FPA finding versus in useful way for the likely users. So you need to let them know these are the reports that you gather so far, and this is what you are planning to do with the report. Make results widely available for action by a different group of stakeholders. Suggest way to consolidate FP results and lesson learned as organization. So after you have itemized those things that they complain about and you've already put those things in, then what lesson as an organization did you learn from those shortcomings, from those underperforming area, so that in this future you are able to like mitigate against that before it even become noticeable. Develop an effective method to disseminate the consolidated data. A record of past projects may serve as justification for the future performance evaluation. So when you conduct a performance evaluation and you notice those shortcomings in this facility, it can also help you so that you don't repeat the same mistake in another facility you have that you are also maintaining. So the result and the and all the processes, the new policies and everything that you put in place, and it's yielding result, you can easily get that done in another facility, or disallow yourself from repeating the same mistake that has already occurred. What are the benefits of evaluating building system? A feedback loop to enhance continuous improvement process. Improve fit between occupants and their building. The optimization of service to suit occupant. The reduction of waste of space and energy. Validation of occupant real need. You know exactly what the end users of your facility actually want. Reduce ownership on operational expenses. It also helps you to improve competitive advantage in the marketplace, because when you do this kind of a thing, you can hear your tenant, your occupant telling you that the facility over there have more security than your facility, then you know definitely you need to like upgrade your facility so that you can keep up with the market as well. What are the challenges you face when you conduct facility performance evaluation? Fragmented incentive and benefit within the procurement and operation processes. So that means you might not have the financial capacity to do most of what they are actually requesting for lack of agreed and reliable indicator. They are asking for A, but what you can actually provide is B. So at the end of the day, you might not agree in times, but with relationship, you can still get some things done pending when you can actually provide what the end users are actually requesting for. Then potential liability for owners, because most of what they are actually requesting for is could be at a huge amount of cost for you currently, which might be a liability for you. Or possibly you've been handling the facility for a period of 5 years and the expiration of contract between you and the owner is almost getting due. It's almost getting due, like almost like 6 months, and people are asking you to come and paint the whole entire facility. It might not be tenable because you are actually incurring liability. Because if you do that, at the end of the day, another facility company that takes over might eventually insure that service. Because how are you sure that the maintenance of that facility agreement will be renewed with your company? Exclusion from current delivery expectation, then exclusion from general curriculum. Then at times, generally, there's no money set aside for AP. You don't have the financial capacity to carry, because at times, getting your evaluation done might require you to get a third party to handle that for you. And when you want a third party to handle your performance evaluation for you, you have to pay. And what of if you don't even have the budget for that and you don't have the financial capacity for that? Sometimes help may require a considerable amount of time. And what if the time is not readily available? Organization may not always have people with necessary skill to conduct AP. Then, two, we professionals, we don't like and we don't appreciate somebody coming around to judge our work. And somebody said the easiest thing to find is fault. And you don't want anybody to come around and start finding fault in what you are doing. So, okay, we've already discussed this. So, benefit of evaluating business system, a feedback loop to enhance continuous improvement process, improve fit between occupant and their building. We've said that optimization of service to suit occupant. We said that reduction of waste of space and energy. Then validation of occupants' real need, reduce ownership and operational expense, and improve competitive advantage in the market, which we've already mentioned from the other slide I quickly used. Then fragmented incentive, we've mentioned that. So sometimes professional doesn't like their work judged by others, which is nothing but the truth. This is a sample of condition assessment checklist. This is an example of a crawl-through kind of level of assessment checklist. You can see from this slide that it's talking about the first thing to check is account office. What are the issues in account office? Electrical system. What is the issue? Ceiling mounted fitting. Condition of the asset. It is fair. Description of the asset. Broken fitting cover. Then, is it a major or minor? It is minor. Then let's look at number 3, driver's room. That is the location of the asset. Category of this asset, building fabrics. Description of the asset, ceiling board. Condition of the asset, the ceiling board is bad. Then what is the description of the failure that the ceiling board is having? Stains on ceiling board as a result of water leakage from the roof. So what is the condition of this assessment? It is a major concern. So we need to get it done. So if I have to design my own assessment, are the at the right corner side, I can put a column again where I'm going to put cost, the cost of rectifying the fault. Then this is another type of checklist. This is a checklist looking at this like a level 1 kind of a checklist, which is looking at the systems, looking at the facility in a system-wise manner. That's why you see we have electrical system, we have safety alarm system, we have mechanical system, we have power system, we have building fabrics, and we have other system. This is looking at the facility as a system-wise, not as a component-wise. So you can see the difference between the walkthrough and the crawl through. So this brings us to the end of the module on facility condition assessment. So before we call it a day today again, let's quickly have some questions. So Mr. Innocent, you can bring up your question now.
Good evening.
You raise up your hand the other time. Mr. Daniel, query, I will come back to you.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I have 2 questions to ask. The first one is I can remember vividly when we were doing asset management.
Yes, sir.
Where we need to, on the asset management register, we need
asset
to.
Register.
Yes, on the asset register, we carried out some dimensional checks on some assets. And on this, on the facility condition assessment, you're still bringing up the issue of where we need to take dimension of a particular asset during assessment. I mean, during conditional assessment. I wanted to ask, what's the point, taking dimensions of an asset when you've already done that on the asset, you've already have the details of that asset on the asset register.
Okay. What's the second question?
The second question is carrying out. Can I carry out a facility condition assessment on an automobile, for example, a Tukumbo? I want to buy a Tukumbo car, and you know that the seller will not be patient with me, in trying to carry out an assessment on that vehicle before I purchase it, compared to carrying out an assessment on a facility.
Okay. When we're discussing asset management, I told you what an asset register is. It is a register that contains the detail of every information that you needed to know about your asset. For instance, let's take a 2-bedroom flat for an instance. In that 2-bedroom flat, what are those assets you have in place? You have your chair, you have your fan, you have your television, you have your refrigerator, you have your freezer. These are what goes into your asset register. You don't put the building wall in your asset register. But when you do condition assessment, you assess the condition of the building wall apart from the assets that are inside that 2-bedroom flat. So let's get it right. And that's why I said your table in that facility, that 2-bedroom flat, is an asset. And you want to know the detail of that table. That's why you need to provide the engineering detail in terms of the length of the table, the breadth of the table, the height of the table. Now, when you are doing your condition assessment, the building wall, the sitting room, you want to change tiles. What is the dimension of the floor tiles? You can't just say, I want to change the living room tiles. What is the dimension of the living room? It's 6 meters by 6 meters. So you use that one to calculate the number of tiles that you are going to change and at what cost. What will be the cost of the sand? What will be the cost of the cement? What will be the cost of the tiles? And what will also be the cost of the manpower for changing that ties. Your floor tie doesn't go into your asset register. No. But your television goes into your asset register. Your building wall doesn't go to your asset register, but you assess your building wall when you are doing your assessment. That's the difference between the two. Then you are talking about a Tokumbo car. Let's get it right. When you have a facility, a car is an asset within that facility that supports your operation and your day-to-day operational purposes within that facility. You want to move from your estate in Lekki to another estate in Aja. You use the car to move yourself. So when you want to say, okay, as a facility manager, you want to buy another car, and the best you can do, I gave the example, you want to buy, you don't have the financial capacity to buy a brand new car to support your facility operation. You want to buy a Nigerian used car. You can get a mechanical guy, an automobile guy who is very conversant in that brand of car you want to buy to go and conduct the assessment for you and come back to you. So you can have a checklist for the guy. What is the condition of the engine? The seat fabric, what are their condition? What is the condition of the tire? What is the condition of the body? Is the car a first body or painting has been carried out? So these are what you can draw up your checklist and give it to your mechanic. So when your mechanic come back, those are the information you ask from your mechanic. And that is what you are going to use to determine if that car actually worth the price that the seller is actually asking for. Mr. Innocent, I hope that answers your question.
It's clear. That's clear.
Okay. Mr. Daniel, let me come to you. Madam Rita, I'll come back to you after Mr. Daniel.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel.
Okay, thank you for the interesting class and the very clear. I have two questions.
Mr. Daniel, you are breaking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I think it's better a bit now.
Okay, I have two questions here.
Okay.
When we are talking about a client want to acquire a property.
When we are talking about what?
Let's assume that the client wants to acquire a property which have already been built, and probably the client want to use it in the banking sector.
Mr. Daniel, your voice is not clear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Your voice is not clear. Maybe the mouthpiece you are using is not giving you the right thing. You can speak to the computer.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Very, very clear, perfectly clear now.
Okay, I was asking if a client wants to acquire a building and you are asked as a facility manager to do assessment, a condition assessment, and let's assume that the client is working in a banking sector that you require to alter part of the building.
Okay.
Do you need to seek the consent of the agency who approved, like an agency that approved the house plan, before you carry out such work?
Okay.
And secondly, let's assume that you want to acquire a new property that just built. Is there any way you can assess the quality of material being used for that building?
That is beautiful questions. The first one is that you are being approached by a client to assess a property for you, to assess a property for him or her that she or him or her want to use for banking environment. And you want to see that how do you determine the building agencies that you need to consult. Now, I told us that facility condition assessment is a multidisciplinary kind of assessment. It's not something only you carried out. If you are to do that kind of an assessment, you need yourself, you need your architect, you need your QS, you need your MEP engineers, and these are the people that will do a thorough assessment for you. This might require you to pay them. You might not be able to do it yourself. You might even need to include a structural integrity engineer to be part of it, to see the integrity of the building. Now, these people come back with their results. They are in the best place, in the best position, most especially the architect, to tell you that These are the buildings approval you need to get before you can get this project commenced. And this particular area, there are several numbers of beams. There are 4 beams there. You cannot do anything against that beam. If you do anything against that beam, you are bringing the whole entire building down. That is one. Then the second question is, can you help me with the second question again, Mr. Daniel?
Okay, if you want to acquire a new building,
Yes.
how do you assess the quality of material being used?
The best people that can do that for you is to send the building assessment team. And these are people that have the necessary equipment to test for the integrity of the building. There is a way they do it. We have a lot of companies within Lagos that are handling that. So they will actually tell you if the building pass what we call integrity test. If it doesn't pass integrity test, you know that maybe the material they use is not, is either they don't use the right material or they don't use enough material. So how that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So Madam Rita, let me come back to you. Then Mr. Kolade, I'll come back to you after Madam Rita.
Okay, good evening,
Good evening, ma'am.
Engineer. It's just something I did not see on the non-structural systems. I saw the electrical, I saw transportation and some other thing, but I did not see the plumbing system. Is that not part of the
Plumbing system is
non-structural
part of
system?
it now. That is under your MEP.
Okay, so under
Because there's
mechanical.
MEP.
It's okay. I just
That's
wanted to
mechanical,
confirm that.
electrical, and plumbing.
Right.
So
It's okay.
we are the one that normally call it, we are the one that normally call it MIE. But the best name for it is MEP. That is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
It's okay because I saw electrical there.
Yeah.
And then no
system,
plumbing,
no
and there's no
plumbing
mechanical.
we just mentioned few out of all the
Okay.
systems you can have in a building.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much, ma'am. Yeah, Mr. Kolade, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Kolade.
Yes, sir. So my question is, so let's assume I want to like engage in a real estate a company.
Okay.
So I want to manage a facility.
You want to engage in the real estate. Let's get it right. Engaging in the real estate means is either let me just try to chip something in so that you can frame that question very well. When you say engage in a real estate, it could be that you are a construction company who is actually building the blocks of flat on behalf of a client that is also a real estate, or you are a real estate company that is told to take the care of building the property and selling the property on behalf of the client. That is 2. Then 3 is either you are a facility management company that is going to take over that estate to maintain and manage on behalf of the client. So that you can know how you are going to frame that your question very well. So go ahead, Mr. Kolade.
Okay. Let me put it this way. I'm coming in to manage as a facility company. Yeah,
Okay.
to manage, well, let's say an estate.
Okay.
So in the course of my assessment, I've done the assessment, I've done every necessary things.
Okay.
So after giving them, and I've pointed some things that needed to be replaced and stuff like that. So in the course of that, so the estates now, they're now like, no, this one, we can't do this one right now. So, and if you continue with that thing, it's going to affect you. So how do you come in that size?
Okay. Let's not forget what we call company vision and company mission. There is no any amount of job we want to take that should allow us to undermine our company vision, our company mission, and our operational standard. After you have done your assessment and you assign cost to every deficiencies you've already marked, and those ones that are meant for replacement, you send to the third party, to the owner of the property. the owner of the property has the right to either allow you to go ahead and get that done, or he gets his own team of engineers to go to get that done while you come back for another reassessment again. As long as you have done your assessment and you needed those things to be done, and the property owner said no, it is, to me, if you are actually going to fulfill the ethics of the ethics of the profession, it is better you don't take that facility, because it's going to be like taking over a liability at the end of the day, because you are more or less like the link between the property owner and the end users. So the property owner name is not the one that is at stake here. It is your company name that it is at stake, because the end users are all saying it is your name, the name of your company that they'll be mentioning. That, oh, Mr. Kolade International are not a good facility manager, that we are not getting better service from them. And don't forget, this same end user will eventually go back to go and tell the property owner that they should change the facility management company, that they are not up to their task. And don't forget, they don't realize that it is the same property owner who has failed to change a lot of things within that facility. So instead of you putting your company name in jeopardy or tarnishing the image of your company, it is always better you move out of that facility. It is not compulsory you must take up a property on behalf of any client. If it's going to impact on your company vision, mission, and operational standard, to me, professionally, it doesn't worth it. It doesn't. I would answer your question, Mr. Kolade.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, any other question, please? Okay. In the absence of no question, we meet again on. I'm going to link up with the training coordinator and everybody. There are some things in the slide that need to be correct, which is not part of the slide. So after the training is done, they will send it to you. Thank you very much, everybody. See you again when we shall be discussing on plumbing, when we shall be discussing on water treatment plant and sewage treatment plant. So thank you very much, everybody.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful class. And sorry about the slide. It will be sorted out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful evening.